we are live again.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, another episode of our story. It seems a wee while, Arnold,
It is
since
a wee
we've been
while.
on. Been busy. Okay.
Hope you haven't missed us too much.
Maybe they'll appreciate it, more, but more rationed.
Sometimes a break is as good as a rest.
Oh, I like your style.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we've been enjoying football and tennis these last 2 weeks. Not actually doing, you realise,
No.
watching, been great, the football, especially England. For
Come
those
on,
who aren't
England.
following it, have made their way all through the preliminary rounds, quarterfinals, semi-final, they won.
First final since 1966. I remember it well.
And tomorrow night, it will be England versus Italy.
We like Italy, but not that much.
We love Italy. Holidays are great in Italy. And we love Italians too. But England's our home nation now. So we'd really love England to win. It has been a tough year for everybody. But particularly we feel for England, don't we? So, yep, tomorrow night it is. We'll be locked in. Anyway, we're really grateful to have this opportunity to tell our story through the platform of YouTube. Now, YouTube is absolutely brilliant. It was a friend of ours who recommended it to us, a photographer on a cruise that we were on, recommended it to us. Milosh, give you a wee mention there, Milosh. We're still in touch with him. He feels part of our family, and we certainly feel like he's part of us as well.
We love Milosh.
We do. And he did a great job in our photos. Did a bit of photoshopping, didn't he, Arnold, to make us look better?
Yeah, it took it. Well, for me anyway.
I was going to say, speak for yourself. Yeah, it did. It took us for both of us. Anyway, he did a great job and we're very grateful for that. So, YouTube, great idea, Milosh. Yep. And as you can see, and we've followed that through. So, it's a great platform for us to do this. And one of the things that we're a wee bit perturbed about, we're not worried, just a bit perturbed, is that being very grateful for all the viewings we get, like up in the hundreds. So say, for example, I think it was last weekend we had 400 on a particular poem. Was it 400? Yeah. And then suddenly, randomly, on the Saturday, it was docked 55 viewings.
How
Now,
dare they?
well, it just feels a wee bit unfair to me, Arnold, for people who have bothered to view and then don't get acknowledged. Their viewings. It has crept up again this week. Now, we'd be okay with that if it's 55 new people coming on, but still, you deserve a viewing as well. So it could go up to 455. It's creeping up again. So there you go.
We just want to get the stories and the poems out there
definitely.
to folk who could do with hearing them.
Definitely.
That's the idea.
Definitely. That's the idea of doing this. It's not for us. Glory. Who would get glory? Anyway, let's continue. So, would you like to help us with this? Basically, we're saying we've been reading up a little bit about it, and we understand YouTube need to do it for security purposes to see where all this sudden rush of viewings coming from. Are they kosher or what? But also, if you were to everybody who views and you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Please.
Only if you like it.
Yeah. If you honestly don't, feel free to put a thumbs down. No joking on that, please, friends. So please do a thumbs up. That will attract YouTube's attention, but will attract it even more if you put a comment. And some folks are, not very many, but some folks are. And that really helps as well. Because what happens when YouTube see that interest is that they say, ooh, people are interested in this. We should bump that up the search engine. I think anyway, that's the way we understand it works. And so we put tags with each YouTube post we do, the poems or the story. And when people are searching for certain subjects, hopefully they'll come across our thing and it'll go up the search engine a bit. Okay, I think that's all the kind of admin stuff.
Thank you for even considering that, and thank you for watching. We appreciate it.
Yep. So we ended the last one with believing that God was asking us to go back to school. not as pupils, although it was a very steep learning curve. So back to school, into
With the
schools.
girls.
Yeah, so into schools. What could we do in schools? We wanted to reach these children that were around us. And as you heard a bit at the end of the last story, why that would be through schools. We walked in obedience to attempt that. And but just something else about a secret ingredient into the story today, and hopefully following stories, is that you've heard of the 3 R's in school: reading, writing, arithmetic. The 3 R's. R, not ours. Get me? Speaking
I
English.
think it came from the Irish.
Yeah,
Sounds like
ours,
it.
ours. Anyway, stop me doing that, Arn. The 3 R's. Well, we thought, well, we're going to go one less. We're going to have 2 R's. R's. Random recall. These are going to be included in our stories just randomly, because we find as we go through life, memories pop up now and again. We think,
Randomly.
oh, that might be interesting for folks to hear that. But is it really going to fit into our story? So we're calling them random recalls. So watch out, listen out, and see if you can spot the one this week on our story. So I think we are ready to go. Arnold.
Just changed my glasses.
Oh, do you know before you did that, Arnold?
All right.
Just looked at my notes.
And you've got your glasses on.
I know. There you go. Just said a wee bit more there than what we intended, really. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, our Julie was in year 6 of the primary school here, and they started introducing parent governors. And I thought, yeah, well, you know, it's voluntary, obviously. As a parent governor, I may seek to be a good influence, hopefully, in the school, help with decision making, help the school, support the school. And they needed to have the governors to function, really. So I became a governor, and I stayed in that post as a governor for 21 years. I think
Wow.
this is the first 4 as parent governor and then as co-opted governor. And 7 of those years were as chair of governors. So that was a very steep learning curve.
Madam Chair.
Oh, no, that was ridiculous. But anyway, great way of supporting the staff. And I did enjoy it and got to know the staff really well. Great school, brilliant school. Loved it. Still love it. Anyway, Arnold, as I was saying, I'm giving you your cue now.
Getting to know Mr. Lane, the head teacher, we asked could we help in any way. And as R.E. was not being taught then, he let us teach it every Tuesday. At the school gates, some mothers criticised us. Though a humanist, Mr. Lane gave us his support. And after a time, the opposition died down when their children gave us a good report.
Yay.
For 5 years on a Tuesday, we taught every class, and so we got to know the children well. In addition, we led school assembly each week with singing and Bible stories to tell. Pam served as a school governor for 21 years, and for 7 of those she was chair. It's Mr and Mrs Cooke was how the children responded when they spotted us elsewhere.
And we still love that today. Oh, I'm going to do an extra wee story that I just remembered,
All right,
Arnold.
okay.
Is that
Go
this?
ahead.
This isn't the random recall, but let's have an extra one. Bonus. Mr.
Double R and R.
2 2s are. Because children, we still see lots of the kids from then, and you're very quick, Arnold, at recognizing a
Yeah.
face, which I'm not, because they change, don't they?
Of course.
How do you recognize them? I don't know. So I was walking our dog one day, a good while ago, around the field at the top of our street. There's a lovely little wood in it. And I was round the back of the wood, and I had our dog Huckles on the lead. But there was this other guy coming towards me with two dogs, two really small dogs. Ours is quite a chunky big dog. He's a Labradoodle. So the Labrador, chunky. And Woolly Coat.
Poodle.
Oh, he's just
Mad.
lovely. Could we big him up anymore? No, let's not bore you with that. Those who know him know he's bonkers as well, but he's generally obedient.
He's good.
He is.
He's lying in the corner at the moment.
He's unbelievable for when we do recordings like this.
Mhm.
He lies with his head in under the bottom of the curtains, as if he's I don't want to listen to those two anymore. But he's good. Anyway, getting back, I digress. Shocker. I'm already digressing into this. So this guy was got one of his little dogs just ran for Huckles and started going at his back leg, and I was trying to get away. And I said to this guy, would you, really quite crossly, will you please put your dog on a lead? I didn't want my dog to get hurt. And he says, hello, Mrs. Cooke. No! Oh, hello. Yeah, so then we had a really good chat about what he remembered from us in school. Anyway, we were going somewhere completely different from that. That's just an extra random recall for you. It wasn't so random, it was in context, that one. So
you better look at your notes, Anne.
I think I'm on it. I think, yeah. So we still see lots of those children nowadays, that's what we're saying. So lots of them have children of their own and are married or living with partners. But it's great. It's lovely to keep in touch with them. And some of the staff we kept in touch with for a good while as well. So that was really good. Now, that day that you referred to, Arnold, about Mr. Lane defending us, some opposition. One day, Mr. Lane called us into his office. Now, I have to say that wasn't the first time I'd been called into a head teacher's office. Were you ever called in, Arnold? The time you punched a lad in the face on the bus?
No.
Oh, he didn't hear about that one.
No, he didn't hear about that.
Can you imagine?
Well, Mr. Lane actually was quite scary in ways. He was quite a disciplinarian, but very soft-hearted as well.
Lovely.
Which a lot of head teachers are, aren't they? So,
but in your school days, you were never called into the head
I
teachers.
was. I can remember it being caned. I can't remember what it was for.
Oh.
It was sore, I can tell you.
Oh, I don't like the thought of that. So you obviously were worse than me. I never got caned, or the slipper as we got. Anyway, right, girls got. Anyway, come on, we're digressing. We'll be on here all night. I'm sorry, folks. Digressing. Mr. Lane. He called us into his office one morning. We wondered what it was about, because we'd been doing assemblies every Tuesday, starting to teach R.E., and we thought, well, he may be pulling us up on something we said, so we'll listen and see what he says. But what he actually told us was, the knives are out for you two at the gate. What's going on? But then he proceeded to tell us that he had gone out deliberately. When he heard these stories, he deliberately went out to the front gate and spoke with the parents and defended us, which was so kind of him. That was brilliant. He was a humanist, and he could have easily sided with them against what we were there for. We weren't allowed to teach, preach the gospel as such, but we were there to teach the Christian faith, and we had to teach other religions as well, which was actually another steep learning curve for us. So that was really good of Mr. Lane to do that. Now, at the beginning when we started doing assemblies, do you remember Mr. Lane would be in, all the staff would be lying down at, watching every move, listening to every word, and we felt, we are being critiqued. And then as they got to know us, obviously trust built up. So one by one, the teachers would disappear. And then one week, the head teacher said, okay, teachers, thank you. They would go back to their classrooms, and we were there with the children with Mr. Lane on our own. So 250 children to discipline with Mr. Lane there. Interesting. And when you're doing fun stuff, children tend to go a bit loopy, don't they? That's good fun. And, eventually, didn't take that long, Mr. Lane, he too distanced himself. And he sat in his office with the door open that he could hear and check, but could get on with his own work as well. So we sang a lovely song with the children, I'm Special,
By
because
Graham Kendrick.
God has loved me. And the first day we sang that, Robin asked, Mr. Lane asked us, what was that song? I had goosebumps all through that song. So we were explaining it to him. And I think we eventually gave him a recording of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then we heard the staff opening their classroom's door because they too loved that song. It just became a hot favourite, which was lovely. And that was our message, that you are special because God loves you. That's what makes you special, the root of it. So that was really good. But then sad news years later was that Robin died long after he retired. And
But he was still quite young, though, in his
yeah,
50s.
in his 50s, just when he had cancer, and eventually died from that. Well, we had the privilege of going to his memorial service. And do you know what? We were so encouraged. On the programme for his memorial service, a song that he had chosen was Shine, Jesus, Shine. Another one by Graham Kendrick. And I thought, wow. So we don't know what God did in his life, but we were very encouraged by that.
Yeah.
So now, moving on, let's hear what's coming next. We haven't had our 2 hours yet. Well, we've had one.
I hope we're not 2 hours on this.
Oh.
You'll be falling asleep. In the 90s, we organised Christmas roadshows in 25 Lancashire schools each year with popular themes enjoyed by the children to help make the good news message clear. Themes like Back to the Future and Back, based on the films the children loved, helped us teach about Jesus' birth, how he came down from heaven above. Every year we asked some friends to help us. There was Jenny, Sue, Godfrey, and Pete. Then with Shay, there was Alan and Sharon. God made sure that our teams were complete. And so we reached thousands of children who may never have heard the good news of God's love in sending a Saviour to bless them out of their shoes.
Now, as you know, or probably gathered from our previous stories, we didn't ask for payment for our work. We did everything voluntary, and it was just such a privilege to do it. And we had personal supporters who supported us in finance, and the church as well supported us financially. And it doesn't mean that times weren't tough, they were. But schools, we didn't get a payment from them. So 25 different primary schools we went round every December to try and cram in as many roadshows as we could in the month of December leading up to Christmas. And how we did it was try and present the Christmas story in a different way, in a contemporary kind of way.
Yeah.
We used different themes, like you referred to, Arnold, Back to the Future and Back, because Jesus is coming back. But there were other themes like gladiators. That was such fun. We had 2 of the team with those
pugil sticks.
Thank you. And on a small trampoline, fighting it out. That was like good against evil. Well, we got some reaction to that one, didn't we? But basically, the teaching was champion of the world is Jesus. So again, that was like a phrase from a song that Noel Richards wrote, the champion of the world. And it's a real stadium type song that he's done in stadiums. So there was gladiators. That was champion of the world. There was Big Breakfast.
For those who remember that program.
Yeah, on Channel 4. We did an Easter one time. That was Going Live. That was good. But my favourite theme of the Christmas roadshows was the rock and roll Christmas show, Radio Rock FM. So
you didn't know we were rockers, did you? Maybe you thought we were off our rockers.
Anyway, So, like we were saying, we didn't get any payment. Aren't you? Were thinking of something earlier today about
Well,
that whole
just
thing.
I was just reminded today of really what's really our life verse that God really gave us to encourage us to trust Him
Mm.
for our finances, and it's Matthew 6:33, and it's don't worry about the future, that God will um, be with us. I'll just read it here. Seek first God's kingdom, and everything else that you need will be given to you as well. And so that's what we have always tried to do what God asks us to do, and He'll look after the rest. And that's from the Sermon on the Mount. If you've been watching The Chosen, just right up to date, the last episode of this series is about Jesus preparing to give that Sermon on the Mount. And what a sermon it was! Absolutely amazing. If you have a chance to watch The Chosen, please watch. But next series, it'll be Sermon on the Mount. And this is where this teaching comes from. So we're trusting God, and we still are.
Yeah.
And He's never let us down.
That's
That's our
true.
testimony.
Yep. You heard we've been on a cruise. We've been on a few cruises. He's never let us down. Fantastic. Random recall. I need a wee jingle for that, because I woke up with a random memory this morning. So this is random recall time, and it fits in with what Arna's just said. I woke up to the memory of one of the times when our cupboards were empty, and as a family of 4, we needed food. The only thing that we had in the cupboard, food-wise, was a tin of tomato soup between the 4 of us. Yeah, that's great to have that. No bread. We may have had milk, I'm not sure. But it was just this one tin of tomato soup. So obviously we were praying, we needed to get some food in the cupboards before we use this food up even. And I don't know what alerted us to look out the front door. And on our doorstep was a plastic bag with different food items in it and a recipe. Now, our dear friend Ruth Hook, who many of you will know, she still lives down the road from us here. Ruth had left this gift for us, and the recipe was for a meatloaf. She had all the ingredients in that bag for a meatloaf except for one: tomato soup. How cool is that?
Yeah,
You know
amazing.
what the cooks had for tea that night?
It was good.
Meatloaf.
Thank you, Ruth.
Yeah, I made it many times after that as well. I haven't done it for a long time now, but that's a random recall for you. So let's move on. I was going to say about that rock and roll, Radio Rock FM. That was so good. That one, my favorite one. We have some photographs that we found in the roof space just today. Arnold had a memory of what they could be in, and we found them. So I've taken the photographs. We didn't have them electronically, so they're not brilliant, but it'll give you a wee idea of the kind of thing we got up to. So now we're just going to pause and relax while you look at the photographs.
Enjoy.
Here you go. Hello, we're back.
We're back again.
So hope you enjoyed those. And Arnold is going to now finish off his poem.
Change my glasses again. We say we are a Christian nation, but are we Christian only in name? Is that word a convenient label while we're playing a different game? The Bible says, tell the next generation the wonderful things God has done. If we don't, we are failing our children, and their hearts may never be won. If us parents had taught our children, God loves them and has plans for their good, they and us would now love and value our Creator the way that we should. God is above all a God of love, but He is also a God who is just. If we refuse to accept his salvation, then one day face his judgment we must. Imagine you're heading for disaster, and I know it's around the next bend. Surely I would warn you about it, and you'd thank me as a godsend. We're in Preston because of the children, carrying God's love for them in our heart. Like you, we want God to bless them. So teaching them about him was a start.
Great. We do hope you've enjoyed this episode of our story about some of our school's work.
Thank you for taking the time to watch. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So you might be saying, what's coming next? Well, to be honest, we don't actually know yet. We haven't decided. But one thing we do plan is another random recall. So thank you for watching.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Don't forget to give it, please, a thumbs up and a comment. Bye.
Bye.